Chapter 3, Twitching. Finally, we got to the row right next to mine. That is where Jose and Lenny sit. When Lenny's turn came, he smiled very proud. He said on Saturday his daddy bought him brand new soccer shoes. And he wore them to his soccer game. And he kicked the winning goalie with those things. Lenny went next. He said he got brand new hair gel. Plus also, he got a thickening cream. A thickening cream can make even the thinnest hair feel rich and full, he said. Whoa, I said. Whoa, said Herb and Jose. Whoa is what we say to be supportive. May sits behind Lenny. She stood up as she read her paper real loud. This weekend, one thing I did for fun was, on Saturday, I made a pot in my pottery class. And after that, I was punctual to my ballet class, and the teacher said I danced like a gazelle. Mr. Scary did a chuckle. A gazelle, huh? He said. A gazelle's a very graceful animal, isn't it? Yes, said May. Would you like to see me do a few steps? After that, she ran to the front of the room, and she started to ballet. Mr. Scary said to go please sit down again. And as soon as she got back, I jumped right up. My turn, I said real loud. I tapped on my chin. Okay, well, let me see. On Saturday, my grandpa Frank Miller came to babysit me, and he let me roller skate in the house. Plus also, he let me jump on Mother's bouncy bed, only pretty soon I got very pooped. And so I ran into the kitchen, and I drank chocolate milk right out of the carton, without even a glass, I mean. Whoa, said Herb. Whoa, said Lenny and Jose. Mr. Scary raised his hand to interrupt me. Excuse me, Junie B., he said. Sounds like you had a great time on Saturday, but I'm wondering why you're not reading from your homework paper. Just then, my heart got poundy and nervous, 'cause I should have thought about that problem. I swallowed real hard. Sorry, pause that. I swallowed real hard. Well, let's see, I said kind of quiet. Why aren't I reading? Mr. Scary smiled. It's all right, he said. You can start over. Just take out your paper and read us what you wrote. After that, I stood there very frozen, and I couldn't even move. Mr. Scary crossed his arms at me. You do have a homework paper, don't you, Junie B? He asked next. I stood there a little while longer. Then finally, I reached into my desk, and I pulled out the homework I had copied from May. I waved it in the air kind of weakish. Here it is, I said. Here's my homework paper. See it? It's right here. Mr. Scary nodded. Yes, good. Now, could you read it for us, please? He asked. I took a deep breath. Then I looked down at my paper, and I read it silently, just to myself. Okay, done, I said. After that, I sat down, and I stuffed the paper back into my desk. Mr. Scary came back to where I sit. He said, could he please see my paper? I felt shaky and sickish inside. Very slow, I took out my paper again, and I handed it over. After he read it, he shook his head. Then he took my hand, and he walked me into the hall. It seems that you and May had very similar weekends, doesn't it, Junie B?" he said. "Oh," I did a gulp. "Yes, it does." Mr. Scary read my paper once more. "So, you take a pottery class, do you?" he said. I rocked back and forth on my feet. Yep, I do. I said, I take a pottery class and I make little, well, you know, pots. Mr. Scary breathed real deep. And let's see, you take a ballet class too, huh? He said. And gee, what a coincidence. On Saturday, your teacher said you danced like a gazelle. I said, very fast. Gazelle, said Mr. Scary. Whatever, I said. My teacher sucked in his cheeks and looked at the paper again. And you are punctual too, he said. That's amazing, isn't it? I looked up at him. Well, you know, not if you get an early start, I said real soft. Mr. Scary bent down next to me. His face was not jolly. Junie B. Jones, do you have any idea how disappointed I am in you right now? Just then, tears came into my eyes. I didn't even expect that trouble. I quick hanged my head so he couldn't see. Sorry, I said. Sorry you're disappointed. Mr. Scary took a deep breath. He said we would talk more at recess. Then he gave me a tissue from his pocket, and I wiped my tears. After that, we went back into the room. I sat down at my desk very slumping, because what do you know? I didn't have luck after all.